Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button. And if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. Fear Factory, Demanufacture. Fear Factory is an American heavy metal band formed in 1989, a band that I always see held in pretty high regard, but I never properly listened to. However, that finally gets to change with this viewer's suggestion, thank you so much, asking me to cover what seems to be one of the band's most well-received albums, the sophomore 1995 release, Demanufacture. And let's just dive right in. What are my thoughts on Demanufacture? Let's find out as I review it track by track. Since I'm pretty sure there were no pre-release singles, we will just start at the top of the track list with that being the title track, Demanufacture, which kicks so much ass. Such a fun song and not nearly as face-meltingly aggressive as I was expecting going in. The vocals, at least for my pop-adjusted mind, are very manageable as Burton delivers this more brutal, guttural, growly delivery over some fantastic riffs and very technical drumming, but very fun to headbang along to. I especially love this last minute or so, switching things up so many times to keep the listen exciting. What a way to open up an album. Fantastic stuff. Self-Biased Resistor opens up with this catchy, fragmented, frenetic drum work trading back between chugging riffs, a pretty perfect way to build up to the track before the vocals come in on the verse, which weirdly feel a bit empty and brittle. I think that might be the way the segmentation pairs with the vocals. There's a lot of pauses, so hearing the vocals over the sputtering silent parts isn't the most satisfying, but thankfully the chorus picks that back up with a more full instrumentation and deep, clean vocals, which may seem like a jarring switch, but it's really not. It's very welcome. And even at 5 minutes, it flows with grace. Lyrically, the track is about resisting and rebelling against the higher-ups, the government, what have you. Another amazing song. Zero Signal is another track that seems way longer than it feels, stretching right to the door of 6 minutes. Admittedly, the first 25 seconds is pretty much silence, and there's a lot of prolonged riffing to fill said silence, but the actual meat and potatoes of the track is pretty stellar. A lot of guttural vocals, extremely precise and genuinely jaw-dropping percussion, and of course, more chugging riffs. This track has another catchy chorus. Really love the cleaner moments of the record. They feel so honed compared to other metal records. Plus, the piano outro just feels haunting, which I really like. Great song yet again. Replica starts out in a very similar way to earlier tracks with stop and start instrumentation, but this one feels a bit more fiery, especially in the riffs that actually manage to stand out more than the percussion somehow. Burton's vocals really make or break the tone of the track. Of course, the aggression in his growls is captivating as always, but the slightly weaker growls on the verses really make the track just seem like it could be hitting harder, even with the same instrumental, which is displayed on other parts of the track. I especially like the singing on here though, with all the echo around the chorus. It almost gives the track a gothic vibe, which I enjoy a lot. Good track. New Breed, the shortest track here, just shy of 2 minutes 50 seconds, which doesn't waste any time at all in getting to the fire. Very prevalent in this percussion sounding like nuclear bombs with each pound, and there's a lot of pounds. It just goes all in on the throttle and doesn't let up, fully embracing the abrasive industrial metal sound, but it's got an intrinsic infectiousness to it, probably due to the rhythmic melody of the guitar. Zero clean vocals in this one, all Burton's growls all the time, and it makes for almost a palate cleanser from the more accessible tracks in the album. Very nice. Dog Day Sunrise, which is actually a cover of the Head of David song, brings us right back into that hard yet melodic sound, and I'll be honest, this one doesn't do too much for me. Similarly to the previous track, this one features Burton in one vocal style, but this time it's his deeper, cleaner vocals, but not menacingly deeper like on Replica, and I don't know, I feel like after hearing everything from the earlier tracks, I truly think it's the healthy pairing of clean and aggressive that makes the vocals so gripping. New Breed being an exception because the aggressive style complements the aggressive beat of the track. This one is not nearly as aggressive and way more mellow comparatively, and it kind of feels like a drag. I don't know, I'll probably be skipping this one. Body Hammer certainly lives up to the title, as the percussion really sounds like it's just beating down mercilessly. In some instances, like at the back end, you can even hear the clanging of metal on metal like a smithing hammer. The riffing here almost feels nostalgic, like an old 80s band riff a la Judas Priest or Megadeth. Plus, I love the almost warmongering intensity in Burton's vocals on the chorus. It adds a newfound layer of intensity and kind of leaves a baleful impact. Lyrically, the track is pretty fitting, just about lashing out in anger over dysfunction. Very nice song. Flashpoint has one of the most caustic intros I've heard on a metal album in a while. It starts simple enough with this triplet percussion pounds followed by a muddy bass line, but when the guitar comes in, it just becomes this smothering wall. It almost sounds like rocky grinding as well. Not necessarily unpleasant, but it almost makes me uneasy. Thankfully, that's the only time in the song where it's that prominent, as the rest of the track is very explosive and lively with some manic drum work and Burton trying to force his lungs through his throat. Very similarly to New Breed's level of intense vocals, although the cleaner vocals return for the refrain. Yeah, just a fun track all around. HK, parentheses Hunter Killer, takes a bit of time to properly start up, opening the listener to some eerie ambience before glitchy electronic spoken word comes through, only serving as a bit of a distractor for the rapid-fire riffs to wake you up. But honestly, this track, despite how hard it does feel, doesn't hit as hard as I think it could. The only exception to that being the verses, which I do like, but there's only a few times you can hear the same "I am a criminal" shouting before it gets a bit repetitive, and at the 5 minutes it does start to drag a bit. But there's no denying there's some satisfying heaviness on display here. One thing I'd also like to mention is that the title of the track is a direct reference to the Terminator movies, which was apparently a huge inspiration for this record. All things considered, a solid track, though not quite my favorite. Piss Christ is another song that has a menacing build-up, the echoed pounding resonating as the rapid-fire percussion takes time to reload, and when the full track comes in, it goes through quite the sonic journey. Several rises, like the more classic metal styling on the verses, and also some drags like the repetition on the refrain and outro, which have drawling vocals. It's a decent track, but doesn't give me too much to properly return to. And finally, the closer, A Therapy for Pain, a nearly 10-minute long track, and geez, this sounds like Typo Negative. It has that gothic kind of doom metal sound that I'm not usually crazy for, except for that band in particular, and the tone continues for the entire track. It's basically this album's version of a ballad closer. And I do enjoy the overall sound of it, especially the ominous breakdown about 2/3 of the way through that lasts for quite a while and slowly builds up to finish the track. It's a welcome sonic differentiation, and I think it makes for a killer closer, even if it isn't a track I'll revisit on its own. Overall, this is a very exciting first exposure to this band. It kind of falls right into that vein of metal that I think is perfect for my taste. It's heavy, it's energetic, it's guttural, but still has a semblance of cohesive melodies, and that typically is make or break for me with heavier metal, and this has it in abundance. Very good album, really looking forward to eventually seeing what else they have to offer. I'm feeling an 8 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.